just simply the amount of attention and attention to detail that's put into it by actual human beings. Now, that attention may come, maybe it's from the person shaping and sanding the stock. Maybe it's the person checkering the stock, finishing the stock. Maybe it's the person that's chambering the barrel. Maybe it's the person who is doing the final assembly of the rifle. There's basically at no point is it not in someone's hands. What makes it quality? Materials is probably the first thing to come to mind. You know, instead of being injection molded polymers, it's going to be fiberglass, it's going to be Kevlar, it's going to be carbon fiber, basically a chassis, an aluminum chassis inside the stock. And so what you end up with is a vastly, vastly different product than an injection molded plastic stock. In the case of a walnut stocked rifle, we're using a really, really nice either California Claro or American Black Walnut, in most cases stock blank, that's been properly dried, which can take years. You know, all of the steel is either 416 stainless or 4140 chrome moly steel. We're using proper heat treatment of that steels to make sure that the parts are of a proper hardness so that they'll last and they'll do what they're supposed to do. You know, we're using a premium barrel blank. You know, these barrel blanks, you know, they're bored, rifled, contoured, air gauged, lapped, double stress relieved, like these are premium barrel blanks. We're using a premium trigger. This trigger is going to help you wring out the maximum performance that the rifle has. These are the things that, you know, material-wise that make it quality. The other thing that makes it quality is just simply the amount of attention and attention to detail that's put into it by actual human beings. Now, maybe it's from the person shaping and sanding the stock. Maybe it's the person checkering the stock, finishing the stock. Maybe it's the person that's chambering the barrel. Maybe it's the person who is doing the final assembly of the rifle, or maybe it's the person who's doing the final, you know, the finish, whatever the metal finish is going to be. That level of attention to detail is often just not present on more mass-produced products. Part of that is, I mean, think about it. You got a guy that's hand selecting a stock blank from a pallet of stock blanks. But he's going through there and he's picking out the one for that rifle, for that application. This is the blank I want for this rifle. Not every blank is suitable for every rifle. And then from there, you know, it's going to get CNC'd into a roughed out stock. And when it comes out, it's going to have to get shaped and sanded and have, you know, grip caps and recoil pads or the steel reinforcing cross bolts or a forearm tip. Whatever it's going to have, all of that has to be done. And then it's got to be checkered. That could be as much as 8 hours, you know, physically in someone's hand being cut for 8 hours. And then after that, it's got to go to finishing. All right? And then once it's in finishing, that can take days. Because generally you can only put one coat of finish on per day, and then it's got to dry for 24 hours, and you can apply another. But it will take coats and coats, like it could be in there for days. Now, while all that's going on, you've got the metal work. Those parts have to be machined, and then after machining, in the case of like the receiver, for example, the guy that's going to chamber that barrel, he's going to square up. And you know, he's going to square up the front ring of that receiver so that it's perfectly square to the bore. He's the guy that's going to put that barrel in the lathe, and he's the guy that's going to get it all nice and dial indicated in to where it's spinning as concentrically as it can be, feeling that chamber reamer as it goes in, putting the headspace gauges in it when he checks to get it right where he wants it, putting the final polish on the inside of that chamber. And then once that's done, you've got these raw metal parts. Well, all of the machine marks and all of the marks from the manufacturing processes have to come out of that metal. All of that has to be polished. But again, that's time. Like that is, there's hours in that, and then it's got to go get finished. And then once that's done, then it's got to go to the final assembler, and that final assembler is the guy that's going to make sure that the stock fits perfectly. Like he's going to have to tweak that inletting. He's going to have to remove some material from that stock, glass bed that stock. All right, and that glass bedding has got to be mixed properly, and it's got to be applied in the stock properly, and it's got to be allowed to cure properly. Make sure the trigger functions properly and is safe. That's the person that is going to fit and tune the extractor and the ejector. That's the person that's going to verify that the firing pin protrusion is of a proper length. do any of the fitting involved to make sure that the magazines work properly and that cartridges feed, extract, and eject like they should. And again, we're talking time spent in actual hands. This starts to add up. And then once that's done, it's got to be test fired. So now it's got to be packed up, it's got to be taken to a range, it's got to be unpacked, an optic has to be mounted, and then it's got to be test fired, and then it's got to be packed back up and brought back to the shop, and then it's got to be cleaned, and then it's got to be packaged, the target's got to be filled out, signed, verified, laminated. All of that is time, and throughout that entire process, there's basically at no point is it not in someone's hands. When you get it, you know, like this has been in somebody else's hands. Like somebody invested something of themselves into this and now I have it. And someday, because of the quality level that it's at, I'm gonna pass it on to someone else who is going to invest something in it, and it just goes on down the line. None of us truly own guns. We just hang on to them for a little while, and we all invest a little piece of ourselves into it, but it starts with the person that's making it. And that's something that the newer methods of manufacturing will just never be able to replicate. And the fact that it's an outfit that is dedicated to preserving that is part of the reason why I really love it.